Before we jump into the study of plants, let's define horticulture. Horticulture is the art and science of growing plants. We can't forget that it's both parts. Many of you come into the program wanting to know more about what the artistic side of horticulture is, how to design a landscape, how to create prettier flower containers, how to promote more blooms on your shrubs. We must remember there's also a science component to all that we do. The science component begins to explain the how and why we do what we do with our gardens. One of the biggest struggles I see master gardeners have is recognizing that plant sciences are not black and white like the other schools of science. Plants are living creatures trying to function in dynamic environments. Sometimes they do what we want them to do. Sometimes they don't. Most of the time we understand why. Other times it's a mystery. As a master gardener, everyone around you is going to expect you to be able to answer questions and have it all make sense. By learning the science behind plant growth and functioning, you may be able to help people better understand their gardens and make the right decisions. Many times you are learning along with them, exploring different options and sleuthing answers. Being observant, asking questions, and knowing where to look up information is what makes you a successful master gardener. Another very important part of the definition of horticulture, especially for those of us in extension, is the people part. We may think these plants are doing all the growing on their own, but people are playing a large role in it. As a Master Gardener volunteer, you'll be representing UW Extension in your communities, doing education programs, helping with research, working in community gardens, or helping a wide range of people participate in the joy and benefits of gardening. At this point in training, you might be feeling a wee bit overwhelmed. We have a lot of topics to cover, and some, admittedly, aren't going to interest you as much as others. But as a Master Gardener volunteer, there is an expectation you're familiar with it all. We need you to have a good foundation in horticulture because people are going to ask you all sorts of questions and we want you to be prepared. Our program is roughly divided into three parts: introductory topics of botany and soils, pests, including the concepts of integrated pest management, and modules on disease, insects, weeds, and wildlife. Finally, there's the plant modules, including an overview of the general gardening practices shared across all the types of gardening, followed by specifics for herbaceous plants, woody plants, fruits, vegetables, and turf grass. As you go through the different modules and lectures, you'll find we'll constantly be updating materials to incorporate new research, address changes in interest and trends, and to keep you up to date the best that we can. But always, our initial goal is to prepare you to be able to answer most gardening questions using appropriate resources. This class is not about how much you memorize and regurgitate later on. It's about learning how to ask the right questions, use the appropriate resources, practice critical thinking to weigh your options, and to provide information back to the public which directs them to the appropriate options. Somewhere along the way, I picked up this concept about learning, and I think it's very applicable to where you're at. Between the readings in your manual, video lectures, and guests in your classroom, you're going to be bombarded with information. First, don't panic. Some of it'll stick. Most of it's going to bounce off. This is an important introduction to a word or a concept, and it won't be your last time hearing it. The next time you hear that word or concept may be in more readings, or in another lecture, or while participating in a group activity. You'll hear it again and go, aha, I remember. We've talked about that before. I just can't really remember what it's about. The third time you hear that word or concept may be later on in class as it's being applied to another new concept. Or you may be in the midst of volunteering and answering plant questions for somebody. That's when you actually use the word and concept and it begins to sink into your brain. If you get a chance to listen to veteran master gardeners or wonder how your extension educator knows all that stuff, just remember, like you, we all had to begin somewhere.